Hi, my name is Stacie Campbell, and this is my individual analysis of the Goldmans from the Birdcage. At this point in the movie, the Goldman family is in distress. Albert feels that his family hates him for who he is, which is an effeminate homosexual male, and for what he is not, which is Val's biological mother, and he is more masculine. Individually, Val is anxious that his fiance's family will disapprove of his family and not allow the marriage to take place. Armand is constantly reaffirming to Albert that he is loved and a part of their family. Armand is constantly assuring Val that everything will work out well. What we have here is a family system out of balance. Research, although growing, is very slim to non-existent on the specific topic of parental ambiguity in same-sex relationships. Family systems works well for this topic because it does not focus on labels and roles. Family systems focuses on relationships, structure, interaction dynamics, and the context of which the aforementioned takes place in. Regarding the Goldmans, they're a very close family. However, the current situation has exposed a weakness in the Goldman family structure. When the family's microsystem was uniform, as in all members were in the same home, the Goldmans were seemingly well known, and their home life was not called into question. More specifically, Albert's role as a non-biological parent was not questioned. With his exclusion from the Keeley dinner, Albert and his replacement by Catherine in the role of Armand's spouse and Val's mother, Albert feels that he has been excluded from his family, is now on the outside. Albert, in a separate context, Albert and Armand have launched Val as he has gone away to college. What Val has returned home with is a fiancé, changing the two systems for the Goldmans and overlapping a third. These are two major transitions for the Goldman family. To exclude Albert from any major transition would be a transition in and of itself, because the family would have dual personas. One would be a beard family, which is it hides an LGBTQ person inside a heterosexual relationship so as to hide the LGBTQ person's sexuality so that they can fit into a more conservative society. And their other persona is the real Goldmans, which is a male same-sex couple raising Armand's child, his biological son. In so much as a family is one whole, from a systems perspective, to have a family with two opposite personas where one is fake and one is true would be an example of incongruence, which is a person-centered therapy term. Carl Rogers would say incongruence leads to maladaptive behaviors, and there you have it, a family in trouble. From a family systems perspective, everything is relative and the interactions are dynamic. A affects B and vice versa. Val wants to exclude Albert, and Albert rejects that notion. Val is not getting his way, and Albert will meet the Keeleys. While Albert will get to meet them, it will be under false pretenses and will invalidate to himself and everyone else, both consciously and unconsciously, his true role in the Goldman family. I think it's important to discuss Val and Albert's relationship in more detail because it is a source of weakness in the family structure. Val avoids confrontation with Albert, which is consistent with a step or non-biological parent and a child. When Val includes Armand to tell Albert about his exclusion, it shifts the balance 2-1. This disrupts the homeostasis, and Armand must suggest it. When Albert comes into the bedroom dressed as straight Uncle Al, and he looks at Val and Armand, who are sitting side by side, for validation and inclusion. When he doesn't get it, he believes that they don't love him, and they feel the opposite towards him, which is hate. He retreats, and once again, Armand goes after him to adjust the balance back to homeostasis. More than once in this movie, Albert retreats when he feels hurt, and Armand goes after him. This is an example of interpersonal stress between Val and Albert. The surface conflict is between what Val wants and what Albert wants to happen. It is also acute situational stress because the whole experience has unfolded within 48 hours and no one was expecting this situation to arise. Albert is experiencing interpersonal stress because he has internalized the situation as being a rejection of himself by his family. The polarization of the issue is that Val believes the Keeleys won't know the Goldmans are headed by a same-sex couple if Albert is gone. Remove Albert, remove the risk of exposure, and remove the risk of rejection by the Keeleys. The escalation occurs when Albert misunderstands Val's reasoning and refuses to leave for the evening. The triangulation occurs when Armand stifles his anger at Val over Val's insistence that his father and stepfather hide their same-sex orientation, plus many other traits of their family. By letting Albert stay, Armand is sending Val the message that his homosexuality is a non-negotiable part of himself and he is not willing to send it away. It should be noted that Armand and Albert raised Val to voice his needs and wants. At times, children are encouraged to go with the status quo and keep their own needs quiet. Val has bluntly stated what he feels he needs from his parents. What I would like to have happen is for Val to open the lines of communication with Albert. I feel that Albert is very direct with Val concerning his needs and his emotions. I feel that the blockage is coming from Val's side. I would like Val not to use Armand as a buffer in order to avoid Albert's emotions. I believe that Val should directly state to Albert how he feels about Albert and what Albert means to him. I would like him to directly relate to Albert exactly what this thought process was behind the request for his absence. And that's where the misunderstanding came in, was, well, part of it, because Albert thought that Val was ashamed of him, and by keeping him out of his reasoning, he's keeping him from understanding the true reason. And Albert has made up his own mind, in his mind, when he internalized this, that it was a rejection of who he was as a parent to Val and who he is as a person in life. If Val was experiencing diffusion of identity and wanted to discuss anything that might upset the family-wide symbiosis, I would encourage that. I would want to know, why does he feel that his family structure is negotiable, and why must his family change to appease another? Those are two very important questions, even though, at one point Val stated in the movie that half the country is conservative. Well, if one half is conservative, then the other half is not conservative. So why does he feel that one takes more precedence over the other? So that's my individual analysis of the Goldman family using the family systems theory. Thank you.